question is that this bill be now read a second time, and I call the honourable member for Herbert.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak on the Broadcasting Legislation Amendment Primary Television Broadcasting Service Bill 2015. I got a Facebook message from Cam Laird, a fantastic professional photographer in my electorate, who wanted to know when we were going to be able to broadcast in high definition into Townsville. Now, to be quite honest with you, I thought digital TV was digital TV. I didn't know about standard definition and high definition. So it came to pass that I plonked myself down towards Malcolm Turnbull's office. I sat down with his staff and I said, "What's the caper with this thing?" And they said, "Well, look, what happened was when everyone switched over to digital TV, they want to make sure it was as simple as humanly possible. So where your mum and dad or someone in your electorate might just buy a set-top box, or someone might go out and buy a new digital television set. They wanted to make sure that it was put through in standard definition so that you got the picture right from the word go, that there was as little disruption as humanly possible. Now, most people, by the time we've actually done all this switch over to normal digital TVs, are able to make sure that we can see these things in. We've all got the TV sets capable now of seeing things in high definition. Just the other night in this place, we had Samsung gave an innovations display for the evening, and they had their big curved screen, high definition set. And whilst I love my TV, to watch something in that high definition, to watch those sets and see what TV can actually do, felt like you'd almost step into this picture. So when Cam came to me wanting to know what we could do in this space, it was because with his trained eye, he knew what was capable of being presented, and he knew what we were trying to do and what was out there ready for us to go, and that it was out there and we weren't getting it. So what the Minister for Communications, Malcolm Turnbull, said to me was, "This is the perfect example of red tape reduction that we should be looking at. This is a common sense move because everyone now has digital TVs, or if they don't, it's about time they did." All right, so there'll be very few people inconvenienced by this, and it means that we'll be able to, so that your free-to-air networks and Foxtel will be able to transmit in high definition into our homes. And as the previous member for Hinkler said, it is fantastic for watching sport, but it's also fantastic for watching films and documentaries and for the kids to watch the Wiggles. That's what it's all about, and it's about us not being disadvantaged by being in the regions. Now, the pressure is on, of course, now the free-to-airs, especially with the football finals coming up, to ensure that they are prepared to broadcast in high definition into our regions. My city of Townsville, 200,000 people want to be able to watch the Cowboys beat the Broncos this weekend. And point of order, he says. Point of order, says the member, member for Blair. But additionally, Townsville also wants to see the Townsville Blackhawks beat the PNG Hunters in high definition to win the Intra Super Cup, and we want to see the Townsville Fire and the Townsville Crocodiles in high definition. We want to see those things, but we also want to see these things go. So this bill amends the Broadcasting Services Act of 1992 to allow free-to-air broadcasters to deliver programming on their primary television service in either standard definition or high definition formats. The currently free-to-air broadcasters are required to transmit their primary service in standard definition, and this reform arose, as I said, from the review of digital television framework conducted in 2014-15. The proposal received strong support from free-to-air broadcasters and the general public. Now, of course, the general public is going to be right on this, and it's good if we can get this. Now, each free-to-air broadcaster has a specified television service as their primary service for the purpose of meeting the regulatory obligations. These obligations relate to matters such as Australian content, captioning and anti-siphoning. The primary services include Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 10 and the main ABC and SBS television channels. And primary services generally attract higher audiences than multi-channels. The requirement for broadcasters to provide their primary service in standard definition was introduced at the start of the digital switchover over 10 years ago. And at that time, not all television set-top boxes, as I said, were capable of receiving those. So, does this bill require broadcasters to provide their primary service in high definition? No, it does not. Broadcasters will not be required to broadcast their primary service in high definition. They will have the option of providing the service in standard definition or high definition. And so it is up to us and the population in our regional centres to make sure that we are putting as much pressure on Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10 and the rest to make sure that they're putting it through on high definition, especially if we can do it for September, October, with the football finals coming up and coming into another cricket season, where hopefully we won't capitulate in a two-day test again, but we'll be using a decent cricket ball this time instead of those dodgy cricket balls that they used in England, shaped like an egg. But I don't think that's that is parliamentary. Okay, the reform will provide broadcasters with greater flexibility to make decisions about the types of services they offer in response to consumer demand. Okay? Now, greater access to newer technology is driving consumer expectations of free-to-air broadcasters transmit higher quality content. And as we go around the world and as the world gets smaller and smaller, we understand that we want this stuff and we're capable of receiving this stuff in the best possible format that we can have. High-definition content is available to pay TV services such as Foxtel and streaming services such as Netflix. While free-to-air broadcasters provide high-definition content on their multi-channels, they are currently prevented providing their primary channels, which are often the highest-rating channels in high definition. While I've got us on this thing, I would really like to address the basic issue of this program that's going around, or the campaign that's going around about Save Our Local News Services. When the Win News in Townsville approached me about do I support local journalism and local news services, well, the answer is of course I do. But when we have a situation where the 2 out of 3 rule and the reach rule and all the things around media reform are in play, it comes down to what I feel some of the TV stations, some of the executives in the TV stations are in this space for nothing other than self-interest and trying to get the best possible value for their company and that sort of thing, which is what they're paid to do. Now, when I come to speak to the Minister for Communications about my local news services, I don't come out of any altruistic goal. I come out purely out of self-interest. I come out because in Townsville, it is every bit as important to Townsville that the football from the weekend of Centrals versus the Burdekin, or Herbert River in the grand final next weekend, going up against the Burdekin, is on our news. If we lose our local news, our local sport goes with it. Our local people and our local stories go with it. And when you look at local news on a regional level, it is not just about what bleeds leads. It's not just about fires and road accidents. It's about the texture of our society. And I think that's what regional news is all about. And the roles that the journalists and the camera crews and our regional news play in providing that service is so hugely important to the fabric of our society. To be able to get a story up about what our local council is doing, to be able to get a story up about what's happening in a local park, to get a story up to tell people that it's magpie season and that we have to watch out, because these are the things that matter to our community. If we lose our local TV news, then we lose that service, and we're never going to get a run out of Channel 7 on a national news. So we are going to be in a spot where we are being held over a barrel there. And if we lose it, if Win TV is going to say that we are no longer prepared to run this service, I want it to be said that I have done everything I can in that space to make sure that we have done what we can as a parliament to make sure that we can save these services, because it is every bit as important. I see the member for Blair sitting down there, and he gets the Queensland Times. Now, the Queensland Times is a great local newspaper, but it carries what is important to Ipswich and surrounds. The Townsville Bulletin is a great local newspaper. The only problem with it is it doesn't do exactly what I ask them to all the time. But the transition that newspapers and print media have had over the years with the divergence of online and internet and that sort of thing is what TV and what regional TV is going through right now. There are massive challenges out there. When you put it up there in relation to the NBN, people say they want NBN purely so they can access Netflix. And I say, is Netflix really a luxury or is it a necessity? And I'll come back to say it's a necessity. Have you seen free-to-air television? So slightly disingenuous, but very much self-interested. So when it comes to my community and talking about my local community and what we want out of broadcasting and out of newspapers and radio, we want what is local. And the highest rating programs on our local TV stations is the news. And it's always been said, if you win your news, you set up your evening's viewing. So I don't know what's actually going on in that space. So what we have to be able to do in this space is make sure that we are making sure that every TV station in Townsville, every TV station that that broadcasts in Townsville is given the opportunity to broadcast its standard, its specific programs or its major content in high definition. I would ask that the TVs, the free-to-air TVs doing the football finals, as soon as humanly possible, make sure that we are receiving the sport at least and the documentaries in high definition. I don't think that's too much to ask. I applaud the government in removing this red tape. This is now superfluous legislation. I do appreciate the effort that people like Cam Laird in Townsville have done in raising this issue with me and making sure that I was following it up. And I do appreciate that when people in Townsville ask me stuff, that we do go to, as the members in this place, that we do go to our ministers and we do go to our leadership and make sure that if we can do something, we do something. So this is a great bit of legislation. It's common sense legislation, and I hope that we are able to watch the football finals where North Melbourne will be playing Fremantle for a glorious win by the Shinboners in the AFL, and the Cowboys come through for a maiden premiership this year, all in high definition and all in Townsville. And I thank the House.
I thank the honourable member for Herbert. The question